High FM, 101.9 megahertz of life.
As South Africa prepares for planned protest action and the possibility of marches, law enforcement agencies, community safety organizations are working together to ensure that demonstrations remain peaceful while protecting residents, businesses and critical infrastructure. While, of course, peaceful protest is a constitutional right, there are growing concerns that isolated incidents of violence, intimidation, criminal opportunism could escalate tensions if not properly managed. To help us understand how the community safety organizations are preparing for these challenges, we are joined by Mark van Jaarsveld. He is from a CAP Community Active Protection CAP Security. Mark, a very, very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. I hope you are well.
Good morning, Howard, and all your listeners. It's a beautiful day.
It really is a gorgeous day in Joburg. I'm just looking out,
it really
and it is a magnificent one. Please God, it will stay that way. And staying that way is all about being prepared, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So I think, from a CAP point of view, we have developed quite significant capability over the last 20 years. And with the July 2021 unrest that caught the country, I think by surprise, we took significant lessons out of that, both in terms of how to build preemptive intelligence and early warning. And on the other side, obviously develop the skills and capability and capacity within the organization to respond to those types of threats in the future, as a result of those learnings. So, yeah, we've been working now for the past 2.5 months with the South African Police Service at a national and provincial level, and all law enforcement partners. The security industry is also consolidated under what's called Eyes and Ears, which is an initiative that was launched under Business Against Crime that we chair and lead in the Gauteng environment. And it's, I think, the response to today's threats of violent protest, or obviously we hope it's not violent protest, has been a coordinated and really well thought through plan at a provincial coordinating level. So I think our hope is that it will remain peaceful, that there won't be any criminal opportunism that kind of takes shape. But if there is, then the CAP, together with the various law enforcement agencies and partners and other security companies, will act decisively to protect communities and business.
It must be difficult to work out the level of preparedness, because if you're underprepared, then there's almost no forgiveness. But taking it to a higher level also could mean that there's greater anxiety. And I was fascinated yesterday when I saw these armored vehicles, how different people responded. So I thought that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Whereas somebody standing next to me said, "Oh, that makes me so nervous." And I realized that there's just completely different responses to preparedness. Give me your thoughts on how you work that out. Do you even take that into account? Because maybe at the end of the day, it's all about actual security.
Yeah, I think in the misinformation worlds and in the where context and info isn't readily made available to community, people are generally quite scared and panic. The amounts of calls we've received personally on my phone, CAP as an organization, over the course of the last week in the lead up to today, you've got various degrees of people at various different levels of kind of anxiety. So, I think we always have to plan for the worst case scenario. And in order to plan for the worst case scenario, you need to be able to have the tools of the trade. And the people that are equipped and skilled to be able to go into those moments and to defend our community and do what needs to be done. So, my answer to everyone in general is, try not get caught up in the kind of rumor mongering that happens. Follow verified sources. Make sure that if you look at our communications, for example, at no point have we said to people, you need to stop going about your normal day-to-day lives. The assessment as it stands this morning currently is that, you can continue your normal day-to-day operations, go to work, do everything you need to do. There's no disruption at a macro level. And on a local community level, there's absolutely nothing that we're picking up at this present moment in time. Can the situation change? Of course it can. And if it does, we will communicate. And I think just stay grounded in factual-based communication. And then obviously, as I said, don't be scared of the tools that you're seeing on the road, whether they're the armored vehicles or the guys that are, equipped with shotguns and all of these types of things. They're there. Our force posture has just changed. In other words, our ability to respond to something has changed, and so these have come out of and the dust has come off them, and we've prepared. But there's nothing to be afraid of. I think I get significant pride, and I'm extremely conscious of the work that's been done by CAP, and it's a really defining moment for us where we be able to deal with these challenges where perhaps 10 years ago we wouldn't have been. So as a community, I think we should be exceptionally proud that we've developed the capabilities to do this and to protect our community from a variety of threats. And there's nothing to be, we had kids coming up to us yesterday, we were putting them in the vehicles, they were having pictures, and if
I love that, yeah.
If it stays like that today, then I think we'll probably put out a message a little bit later that if people want to bring their children to come and see it and let us take them through the vehicles, then we will. There's nothing to be scared of the men in black.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is so important. It's just it's the reality, but what it really means is that we are incredibly blessed. And I don't know if you heard what I was saying. I've received a few messages from people overseas saying, just stay safe today. And I realized that how blessed we are in our community that we have this type of infrastructure, that I'm not actually concerned about anything. Well, I mean, obviously we're cautious and we'll be responsible, but at the same time, I know that there is a significant amount of care, work, and preparedness that has gone into today.
Correct. I think that's our job. Unfortunately, we measure our success based on failure, and we hope never to have any form of failures. So I think from a CAP point of view, again, just to emphasize it, no one should be scared of the big, intimidating vehicles. They're there purely as the worst case scenario, and that we can do what we need to do. And go about your normal day, enjoy it. It's
and
a beautiful day in Africa.
I got a message from one of our listeners. Mark says, I have just been into Alex to fetch my staff. There's nothing really going on there. Taxis are running as normal. Everything at this stage seems to be good. So that is great news. But a few messages from people who, and I'm not sure if you can talk to this or not, but a few people messaging saying, well, what about those of us who aren't in a CAP area? What have you seen in terms of general preparedness?
So as I mentioned earlier, the security cluster, which is, private entities together with governments, is really well prepared. Resources have been centralized and consolidated, and any threats will be dealt with quite quickly. To give you an idea, we deployed last night to assist the South African police in areas that are not CAP communities, because we understand the broader objective, and that is that we do not want, a situation where the country goes to, gets similar issues that happened in 2021. And we need to stabilize things as quickly as we can, and we stand ready to support law enforcement and obviously to protect our communities as well. So as you said, there's no major reports, there's no major disruptions. The highways are open, routes to the airport are free and flowing. So I think the important point there, Howard, is just this misinformation is so dangerous, because it creates this, people from overseas telling us all these, but it's actually nothing to worry about. It's a normal day. And if there is something to worry about, the CSO, ourselves, and government will communicate. So Absolutely. People should just follow those threads, ignore all of the other noise. And unless you see something yourself, it's better not to forward, recirculate it, do all of these types of things. Rather report it in and let us verify it and validate it, and then we'll put it out if it's necessary.
Absolutely right. And keep listening to Chai, because we are in touch with CAP, we are in touch with CSO, we are in touch with other news and sources. So we certainly will keep you posted. Mark van Jaarsveld, thank you. As always, keep doing the magical work that you guys are doing at CAP.